Hello, everyone, and welcome to the session two of Reference 360 Enablement Series. I am Neelima, and I'll be taking you through this session. So, just to recap of, if you remember, in session one, we talked about what exactly is reference data, why is it of utmost importance for enterprises and companies to manage their reference data. We also went through a common use case of reference data, and I shared a glimpse of Reference 360, the SaaS solution by Informatica. So for today's session, I plan to get more into the application and show you a few tips and tricks around your reference data, talk about the access management or the user roles and privileges granted for reference data, and more about a little bit about customizations and new features that has been introduced, and then talk about search and explore view. Okay, so let's start with Reference 360 access management. So for identity and access management, right, Reference 360, it provides a very granular level of security access to ensure that only authenticated and authorized users have access to your reference data and its resources and functionality. So if you see here, right, in this particular slide, like if you see the roles and the privileges and permissions that are granted for that particular role. So when you get your Reference 360 license, right, you will be assigned an org, which I'll just show you in a bit. And in that particular org, you can create various users inside that. And for each and every users, you'll have different kinds of roles assigned to them. And based on these roles, that particular user would be granted access to the different assets that are available in Reference 360. Now, when I say assets, I can mean it can be a code list, which contains all of your code values. Uh, it can be a crosswalk. It can be, a hierarchy, etc. Right? In Reference 360. And all these, I'll just show you in a while. So please be patient. Uh, so let me just explain this slide, and then I'll move on to the application and talk more about the users there. So like if you see here the admin role, right, it kind of is the person who assigns or creates these users and role configurations. Now Reference 360 also has integration, uses data integration for imports and exports. So this particular user, along with combination with other roles, can also configure those data integration assets. Now, if you see planner here, if your user has the planner role assigned to him, there is hierarchy asset management he or she can do, or also model a hierarchy. Now we also have primary owners, who are the ones who kind of create the data structures in your Reference 360, are responsible for approving your workflows, and also modeling the data, who creates the data model. They can suggest changes in a code list and send it for approval to a business steward. And business steward is someone who is kind of who is the subject matter expert when it comes to reference data. So they are the ones who are responsible for approving your changes in a code list or your code values. They are the ones making changes or adding your code values in a particular code list, and creating crosswalk mappings between code values from different applications. So they are basically taking care of the actual reference data that is there. Now we also have one role called as user, who does not have access to any of the assets that are defined in your Reference 360. And this is basically to kind of to filter out or provide specific users access to only few or very particular assets present in Reference 360. So if I have to define like the major roles, right, in Reference 360, they can be either a Reference 360 roles, which are like predefined IICS roles that provides privileges to all of the assets. Now, if you have Reference 360 roles assigned to your user, right, you have like access to all of the assets. And if you are a primary owner, you would be able to kind of, send your, you'll be able to create a reference data set, code list, and, for all of the assets that are present in your reference. But if you are just a user and have a stakeholder primary owner role assigned to it, you will be able to, work with only that particular asset. And I'll just show you in a while, instead of just talking, just go to an application and show what exactly that means. So this particular slide talks about, the various roles and privileges and permissions assigned to them. Now let me just log in into an application and okay, so I'll just log in as Nike and this is rods.org. So these are the various, services that are available to my particular user, which I just showed you, and Nike_rod.org. And because I have that admin role assigned to me, I'm able to see this particular administrator tile here. So when I click on this administrator tile, I'll be able to see the organization or basically the environment details. Okay. So I'm able to see here the organization and, the ID, the name of it, and other details. There are also a bunch of licenses that an org, commonly known as org or an environment would have for connectors, and there are like bunch of custom licenses. And this is basically product management's org. So I mean, you'll see a lot, many custom licenses because we use it for testing purposes as well. And then when you come onto the users tab here, you'll be able to see in this particular org, RODS Reference 360, uh, all the users that have been created. And all of these users have different kinds of roles assigned to them. So if I open my particular user and Nike_rod.org, I'll be able to, see the different roles that was assigned to me. And if you see here, admin is the first role that was assigned. And that's why I was able to see that particular administrator tile there. And then there are a bunch of other roles plus, reference 360 roles, which I just showed you, like the business steward, planner, primary owner, and the user. And I'll just talk about user plus the stakeholder roles in a bit. And there is also Reference 360 administrator responsible for configuring the Reference 360 environments, etc. So these are the basic various roles, assigned to that user. Now we also have user groups that can be created by you when, okay, and this particular org does not have any user group, but, when a set of users are performing same task and functions, then you can create a user group and assign those similar roles to them. And, those user groups, it would be easy to maintain this, right? So that was about access management for Reference 360. And we saw like, from administrator service, it can be controlled. Now, if you see here, this is the product selection page from where I can, select various services offered to me by IICS. And, Reference 360 is one of them. Now, the next thing that I want to show is, or talk about, is how do we set Reference 360 as default and, introduce you to the home page of Reference 360. Now, when you get your pointer here on Reference 360, there is a star button. And, when you click on it, you can, set your Reference 360 as default. This is a small tip so that the next time when you come and log in as your user, right, you will be directly taken to the Reference 360 and you don't need to come to this product selection page. Okay, so now this is Reference 360, the application or the SaaS product that I've been talking all this while. And as soon as you log in into Reference 360, the first thing you would notice is you come onto the home page. This is the landing page, and this page is going to get enriched and more enhancements are coming in future for this. But right now we have, and let me just go to the slide because this is, I don't have the latest fix on the environment that I'm using. So this is how the home page would look. And there are many other features also coming in future. And this recording would be updated with those things, when those enhancements are out. So basically the homepage has, few introduction videos about how do you configure a Reference 360, data sets, code list. And we have also introduced like what's new. Basically what's new would be a short video that would, which would have like few pointers added there, and it would show you what were the features and enhancements that came out in that particular. Like if you see here that there are 3 tiles here, what's new in December, January, and February. And these 3 tiles would get updated every month. And like in March, you would have these 3 tiles for January, February, and March. So this is the home page of Reference 360. Now, also one more cool feature that we have recently introduced, and I want to demo here, is the custom logo and favorite icon. So if you see here, and let me just go to my slide so that it would be more easier to understand, and then I'll show you how do we do it. So now for Reference 360, customers can configure their own enterprises or their own custom logo and favorite icon. This is where it shows. And let me just show you how it's done. So basically customers, they wanted, to configure their own icons and logos there. So for this, you need a custom license, which is custom logo and color themes assigned to your org. And org is something that I just showed you. And if you go, and for this, again, you need the admin role to assign this custom logo. So if you go to, and I'll open this administrator service in a new tab. So let me just open this administrator service here. And in my settings, if I go to my settings, I will be able to kind of, add my own branding and select my own favorite icon there to be displayed on the browser that you see here, this one. So let me just remove this. So this is by default, like I have just set for this demo purpose. Let me just, remove this inherited branding and let me show you the default one that comes. So let me just save this page. And this custom logo and branding has some specific, size and requirements, so that you can, see here. If you bring your icon here on the question mark, let me just show here, right? You'll be able to see like what kind of size and all is required for that logo. Okay, so let me just, move out of this. So I've removed the inherited branding and let me just refresh this. Okay. So I've removed that custom branding and now I'll be able to see the default one that comes with Informatica's Reference 360. Okay. So that was about custom branding. The next thing I want to talk about is search, and then I'll show you the explore view. And with that, we'll come to an end to this session. So when you log in, as I mentioned, we come to this particular home page in which you can, see some introductory and some like what's new videos here to get more information on what's coming out for Reference 360. Now, the main, to view your assets inside Reference 360, you need to come to your Explore view. Now, there are a few other things also for this Reference 360 application. Like you have this, you'll be able to see the user that has been, this is the org in which your user is logged in, and you will be able to see the ID assigned to it. We have this notification here in which you can see, if your user has any notifications, then this particular icon shows you about your user profile, your settings, and you can log out from here. And we also have this various links here to help you out more on the product. And we also have this online help, which is basically the documentation or the help on the Reference 360 product. And this particular help covers everything that is out there available to our customers till date. So this gets updated every month with our release. And it basically, talks about the introduction, getting started with Reference 360, and various assets like reference data sets, your code list, code values, crosswalks, hierarchies, and also bunch of REST APIs, which I'll be covering in the last session of this enablement series. So it has information about each and every feature or enhancement that has gone out and released for Reference 360. Okay. Let me just, sorry about that. Okay, so these are a few of the Reference 360 features. Now let me come back to this Explore panel, and I'll talk more about Explore. But first, let me show you the search in Reference 360. Now, Reference 360 uses Elasticsearch, and you can you have this search here. You can do a search using this particular window, or you have this complete search page available here. So on the most left-hand side panel, you can select this. You can also resize this pages, minimize, maximize it. And search is provided on these assets, and basically you can select or deselect on the things you want to search. So let me just maybe search NDC here, and it will show me whatever asset that I had selected. Like for code value and hierarchy, nothing is there. So it will basically return all the values that had NDC in. That's what I search. Search also saves the recent last 5 things that was searched. You can use wild characters for searching, like asterisks. So it will kind of return everything. You can use asterisks in combination with letters, and it would show things ending with IND. So I don't have anything ending with IND in reference data set and code list on this particular org, but I have like with IND is India, and these things were returned, right? If you want to do an exact match, you can use double quotes and search. So if I want to suppose search for Germany, exact match, and I should have something in code value. Okay, so it returned back Germany, and in which code list this particular code value is present. It kind of returns back a very comprehensive and like what was served. And you can always go back and select or deselect maybe assets that you don't want to search. So this is one of the features that Reference 360 has, search. Now coming to the Explore view, and this is the last topic for session 2. So Explore view is basically where you see all of your data assets of reference, or where your reference data resides. And different assets are kind of shown with different icons there, and it's very intuitive and user friendly. You kind of don't need to have a training to, navigate through this. So the first one that you see here is account that you see here, which is a reference data set, which is nothing but a business term used. And it is a container that holds your code list. And code list again can be, and code list is the asset that holds your code values, and code list can be from different applications. So this is reference data set, and you can, kind of define various properties of a reference data set. It would show all the code lists that are added for this particular reference data set. So I have this enterprise account, which I'm trying to open on a new page. But if I click on GL account, right, it will open that particular asset here on the left-hand side. If you see, it will open up for me. And then when I go back to explore, I'll be able to go back to, where I was working. And if I want to suppose open the PeopleSoft GL also, it will open PeopleSoft GL in a new section. And I'll be able to see that particular code list. So the first thing was reference data set, which was nothing but the container, which has various properties defined here for it. And then inside that, we have various code lists, which can be, from different applications. And inside the code list, we have code values added. So if you see here on values tab, we have these various code values added. Okay. And there are other tabs which I'll be covering and talking more about in different sections that I'll be going through. So I don't want to burden or overload you with information in this particular session. But let me just go to the stakeholders tab. So if you remember when we were talking about access management, and I had mentioned that there is a role called user, and if only that particular user role is defined for your user, you won't be able to see any asset. But if you come here as an admin, and if you, define the primary owner role, or maybe, a stakeholder role, then you will be able to work with this particular GL account. So this is kind of limiting the user access to be specific to that particular asset itself. So we are limiting the user, to access only this GL account, and, to work with that particular GL account and have particular access, or, work with this particular GL account itself. Right? I mean, my role, it has all the reference 360 level roles assigned, and that's why I'm able to see all of the assets here. And this is what I meant by, you'll be able to see all of the assets. But if I just had that one user and, maybe a primary owner stakeholder role assigned to it, then I'll be able to, see maybe just PeopleSoft GL or GL account. And that's, if the role is assigned at the reference data set level, then I'll be able to see the inside that. I mean, I'll be able to, sorry, I'll be able to see only that particular reference data set. And sorry, I'm moving around a lot. So that was on, explore panel. So I just showed you reference data set, code list, code values. Now we also have crosswalks, which is denoted by different kind of, okay. And if you see here, this lock signed here, right? This means that this particular code list has been worked on by some other user. And if you bring your icon here to that particular lock, you'll be able to see which user is, working on that particular code list and the date since when this code list was locked. All right, so that was about the lock. And then these icons basically represent hierarchies. Now you can, also define hierarchies between code list, and we are going to talk more in detail about hierarchy. I have a different session planned just to talk about hierarchies. Then I'll just show you crosswalks also, and let me just find one. Okay, and these are basically crosswalks. outgoing and incoming crosswalk, which is nothing but a one-to-one mapping between two different code lists, and those code lists can be from the same reference data set, like country codes, or it can be, from different reference data sets, also, like mapping between enterprise country codes from country codes, and mapping between, let me take a better example, continent hierarchy from continentes. So, it supports like mapping between two code lists between two different reference data sets, or, same reference data set. So that was a little bit about crosswalks. Let me go back to my slides. And yes, we did talk about search. We did talk about explore view. So in this particular session, I introduced you to Reference 360. How do you make it as default? And the home page, your custom logos, and various assets. I introduced you to various assets of Reference 360. Now in my next session, I'm going to talk more about modeling of Reference 360 assets, and how do you import and exports, and then later on we'll talk more about crosswalks, etc. So that's all I had for this particular session. If you have any questions and queries, please feel free to contact me or Rod. And yeah, thank you.